Over the past few years, I've seen so many people throw ideas out there of how to fix the clash in the All-Star race, two exhibition races in NASCAR that used to be a huge deal. There was a time period where these events were right up there with races like the Daytona 500 and the Bristol Night Race when it came to most anticipated. That's not really the case no more. These exhibition races have clearly lost their luster within the past decade, and there's plenty of reasons why. I'm honestly at the point to where I think NASCAR should get rid of exhibition races. I just think they have finally run their course. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but there's many reasons why these exhibition races just doesn't feel special anymore. First of all, both of these events suffer the problem of not feeling exclusive anymore. When you let 3/4 of the field into these races, they don't feel like special events. It used to be a time to where both of these races had very small fields, and that's because NASCAR will let these drivers into these exclusive races if they accomplish something within a year. To be able to run the clash, you had to have won a pole from the previous year. With the All-Star race, you had to have won a race within the last year. That's how a driver was eligible to run these special events. Then eligibility became, I guess you could say, easy. Like for the clash, if you won a Daytona 500 pole, you're eligible. If you made the playoffs the previous year, you're eligible. If you're a past winner of the clash, you're eligible. Same thing applied with the All-Star race. If you won an All-Star race within the last 10 years, you're in, and etc, etc. Why did this become the case over the years? Because TV and sponsors got involved, which forced NASCAR to change some rules. This is actually something I want to talk about more in depth in another video, but the TV partners have a lot of say in NASCAR. Too much say. One of the many things they got involved in was the exhibition races. These races used to be relatively short, especially the Clash, which was a 25-lap race. But TV wanted more ad time, so these events became longer as the years went on. When it comes to the sponsors, they were curious as to why they weren't in these special events. And if the car they were sponsoring wasn't in these races, this would lead to them not being happy, which would then lead to NASCAR making it easier to be eligible to run in these races, which explains why the grid size increased over the years. What truly makes exhibition races special is that they're not your normal race. The normal rules that are usually in place for points paying events are different. There's usually gimmicks in place for these exhibition races to spice up the show, like double foul restarts, segments, aka stages, and green-white checkers. All sound familiar, right? That's because these gimmicks are in place for points paying races now. So things like double foul restarts, which was once unique, isn't unique anymore because it's something you see every week. Unless NASCAR was to get rid of all of these gimmicks for points paying races, then I would think it would help these events feel a little special again. But is that going to happen? I don't think so. I look at the All-Star race and it's advertised to be this race where it's $1 million on the line, but I feel like that's not the main point of this race anymore. It's turned into a glorified test session of anything. If NASCAR is looking into implementing something, they'll experiment with it in the All-Star race. The stupid ass high downforce low horsepower package is one example. It was one year where they bought multiple tire compounds to give teams options, the numbers being moved away from the center of the door, and it goes on and on. The All-Star race was at Charlotte for many years, but as the car has gotten worse with dirty air over the years, it became boring to fans. They tried Bristol and it sucked. And for whatever reason, they tried Texas. Surprise, surprise, it was absolute ass. Then they took it to North Wilkesboro, and while I'm happy to see that track back, the All-Star race didn't put on a good race there, and I blame that on the car. The car is the issue. Fix the car and you wouldn't have to move it around to different tracks, even though some people probably don't mind that. You're just always going into this race wondering what they're going to experiment with next. It's like these guys going for $1 million gets pushed to the side, so it's kind of easy to forget that. This race also doesn't have many cool activities anymore leading up to it. The pit crew challenge was fun, and yes, they brought it back, but I preferred the one where it was indoors and you had the big crowd watching the crew members go to work. You had the drivers all there in street clothes cheering on their team. They played no role that night. It was all about the pit crew. I like how once they got done with the pit stop, they had to push the car to the finish line, and just in general, the whole format they had. It was also other things like the burnout challenges and just a bunch of other stuff that they got rid of over the years. Meanwhile, yes, the Clash has experienced somewhat of a resurgence with them taking it to the LA Coliseum, but still, there's a lot of people that have grown tired of it already, and from what it sounds like, NASCAR isn't going back there in 2025. Do they take it back to Daytona? If they do, it's probably going to end up being the same thing, a crash fest. And if they're not crashing, they'll ride around for 95% of the race and then start crashing. I don't think NASCAR is going to revert back to how the way these races used to be ran. And I don't think NASCAR has that power. TV does. Whatever TV wants, NASCAR is most likely going to grant them their wish. And I think people are wasting their breath throwing ideas out there because I don't think these races can be saved. I don't think they can regain the status they once had. Darts are being thrown at the dartboard and they're hoping something sticks, but it doesn't. So you might as well pull the plug on these events. There's 2 less races on the schedule and it wouldn't be the end of the world if NASCAR was to get rid of them. That's 2 extra off weeks for the teams, and it's something that will be popular with them at least because the people that are part of the NASCAR industry constantly complains about how grueling the NASCAR schedule is. Yes, I get it. We want to see as much racing as possible throughout the year, but I feel like removing these 2 races from the schedule, which are not points races, wouldn't hurt. I know this won't go over well with people, but that's just how I'm feeling towards exhibition races at this point. If NASCAR was to ever announce that they're ditching these events, you wouldn't hear a single complaint from me. But y'all might feel different, so tell me in the comments if y'all think NASCAR should get rid of exhibition races. I think I already know what side of the fence people are going to be on when it comes to this topic. So I'm going to go ahead and roll up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.